Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Terminal B as Zara clutched her boarding pass with trembling fingers. The storm had grounded half the flights at Denver International Airport, turning the usually organized space into chaos. Travelers sprawled across uncomfortable chairs. Children cried. And the smell of overpriced coffee mixed with frustration hung. Heavy in the recycled air, she checked her phone for the 100th time. Gate B47. Her flight to New York had been delayed. Another 2 hours, which meant missing her crucial meeting with potential investors for her fashion line. For years of designing clothes in her cramped studio apartment, surviving on instant noodles and dreams, all leading to this moment that was slipping away with each delayed announcement. The silk dress she wore felt ridiculous now. Chosen specifically to impress the investors with its elegant simplicity and hand-sewn details. Now she just felt overdressed and out of place among the sea of tired travelers in comfortable clothes. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Zara looked up to find a man standing beside the empty chair next to her. Even in the harsh fluorescent lighting, he was striking. Dark hair slightly mussed from travel, wearing an expensive-looking gray sweater that hugged his broad shoulders perfectly. His eyes were the color of storm clouds, and when he smiled, something fluttered in her chest that had nothing to do with flight anxiety. "No, go ahead." She moved her purse to make room, catching a hint of his cologne as he sat down. Clean and masculine with notes of cedar and something uniquely him. "Rough night for flying," he said, settling into the uncomfortable airport chair. With surprising grace, his voice carried a slight accent she couldn't quite place, cultured and warm. The worst timing possible, Zara admitted, then wondered why she was sharing personal details with a stranger. Sometimes the universe forces us to slow down." He pulled out his phone, then set it aside without looking at it. "I'm Victor, by the way." "Zara." Their handshake lasted a moment longer than necessary, his skin warm and slightly rough, like he worked with his hands despite his expensive appearance. "That's a beautiful name. It suits you." Heat crept up her neck. She wasn't used to compliments. From handsome strangers, especially ones who looked like they stepped out of a magazine. "Where are you headed?" "New York eventually." "Business meeting? I'm having second thoughts about." Victor studied her face with an intensity that made her feel like he was seeing more than just surface details. "What about you?" The dress suggests something important. Zara found herself explaining about her meeting, her designs, her dream of opening her own boutique. Victor listened without interrupting, asking thoughtful questions that showed he was genuinely interested. When she mentioned her financial struggles, he didn't look uncomfortable or change the subject like most people did. "Can I see some of your work?" he asked. She hesitated, then pulled out her phone, showing him photos of her designs. His reactions were genuine, pointing out details that impressed him, asking about her inspiration and techniques. No one had ever looked at her work with such appreciation, not even her own family. "These are extraordinary," Victor said softly. Studying a photo of an evening gown she'd spent months perfecting, the investors would be fools not to back you. "Thank you." The words came out barely above a whisper. "What kind of business are you in?" Something flickered across his face before he answered. "Technology, investments, the kind of work that pays well but doesn't always feed the soul." Before she could ask more, an announcement crackled over the intercom. More delays. More waiting. Victor stood and extended his hand. "There's a decent coffee shop on the other side of the terminal that's probably less crowded. Want to continue this conversation somewhere more comfortable?" Zara looked at his outstretched hand, then into those storm-gray eyes. Every practical instinct told her not to go anywhere with a stranger. But something about Victor felt safe, familiar even, like she'd been waiting her whole life to meet him. She took his hand. The Billionaire's secret, the coffee shop Victor had mentioned, turned out to be a small, dimly lit cafe tucked away from the main terminal chaos. Soft jazz played overhead, and the rich aroma of freshly ground beans created an intimate atmosphere that felt worlds away from the stressed crowds just outside. Victor ordered for both of them without asking what she wanted, somehow knowing exactly how she liked her coffee. "Cappuccino, extra foam, with just a touch of cinnamon," he told the barista, then smiled at Zara's surprised expression. "Lucky guess." They found a corner table near a window where they could watch the storm continue its assault on the runway. Lightning illuminated the darkness in brief, dramatic flashes while they sat in their warm bubble of conversation and growing attraction. "So, tell me the truth," Zara said, stirring her perfect coffee. "What kind of business meeting are you avoiding?" Victor's jaw tightened slightly. He stared out at the storm for a long moment before answering. "It's the kind where other people try to decide your future for you." "That sounds familiar. My family owns Novak Industries. Tech development, mostly software and artificial intelligence. I've been running the company since my father had his heart attack 3 years ago." Victor's voice was carefully neutral, but Zara caught the tension underneath. "Tomorrow's meeting is supposed to finalize a merger with another company. A marriage of convenience, you might say." "You don't sound excited about it." Victor laughed, but there was no humor in it. "The other CEO has a daughter. Beautiful, accomplished, everything my board thinks would make a perfect wife for me." Merger depends on more than just business compatibility. Zara's coffee suddenly tasted bitter. An arranged marriage, in all but name? Victor met her eyes. "I've spent my entire adult life building something meaningful, creating technology. That helps people. Now they want me to marry someone I barely know to make the stockholders happy. What do you want?" The simple question seemed to catch him off guard. Victor leaned back in his chair, studying her face like she'd asked him something revolutionary. "No one's ever asked me that before. Really? When you inherit a billion-dollar company at 25, people assume they know what you want. Money, power, more money." Victor reached across the table and touched her hand lightly. "What I want is to have a conversation with a beautiful woman who designs incredible clothes and worries about missing investor meetings, who looks at me like I'm just a man, not a bank account." Zara felt heat spread from where his fingers touched, hers up her entire arm. "You're not just a man, though. You're Victor Novak. You know who I am? I Googled you while you were ordering coffee." She smiled at his surprised expression. "Forbes 30 under 33 years running, youngest tech CEO to go public, estimated net worth somewhere between wow and holy shit." Victor groaned and covered his face with his free hand. "Here I thought I was being mysterious and charming. You were both of those things before I knew you were rich." Zara turned her hand palm up, interlacing their fingers. "The money just explains the expensive sweater and why you order coffee like you've never had to check a bank balance." "I have checked my bank balance. When was the last time?" Victor was quiet for so long that Zara thought she'd offended him. Finally, he laughed. "I honestly can't remember." "See?" They sat in comfortable silence, hands still linked across the table, watching each other in the soft cafe lighting. Zara couldn't believe she was holding hands with a billionaire. But more than that, she couldn't believe how right it felt. "Can I tell you something?" Victor asked softly. "Anything. I've been in that terminal for 4 hours and I could have taken a private jet any time. I stayed because something felt different about tonight. Like I was supposed to be here." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "Then I saw you, and I knew why." Zara's breath caught. "Victor, ... I know this is crazy. We just met. But I haven't felt this alive in years." "It's not crazy." She squeezed his hand. "Or maybe we're both crazy together." Victor stood suddenly, still holding her hand. "Come with me." "Where?" "Anywhere but here. I have a car. We could explore the city, find somewhere to watch the storm, talk until the sun comes up." His eyes were intense, hopeful, unless you'd rather wait for your delayed flight. Zara thought about her hotel room, her prepared presentation, her carefully planned life that never seemed to go according to plan. Anyway, then she looked at Victor, this unexpected man who made her feel brave and beautiful and alive. "Let's go." One night in the city, Victor's car turned out to be a sleek black Tesla that whispered through the rain-slicked streets of Denver. Zara had expected him to have a driver, but he navigated the city himself, one hand on the steering wheel and the other resting on the center console near hers, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from his skin. "Where are we going?" she asked as they wound through the downtown area, passing late-night diners and neon-lit bars. "There's a place I discovered the last time I was here for business. It's ... different." Victor glanced at her with that smile that made her stomach flutter. Trust me. I'm in a car with a stranger I met 3 hours ago, driving through an unfamiliar city in a storm. I think trust is already established. Victor laughed, the sound rich and genuine. When you put it that way, it does sound slightly irresponsible. Best adventures usually are. They pulled up to what looked like an abandoned warehouse district. But Victor led her around to a hidden entrance where soft light spilled from an unexpected doorway. Inside, an old freight elevator took them up 7 floors to emerge onto the most beautiful rooftop garden Zara had ever seen. Strings of warm lights created a canopy overhead, and despite the rain, the space was protected by elegant glass panels. That let them see the storm while staying dry. Plants cascaded from every corner, creating private alcoves and intimate seating areas. In the center, a small fountain bubbled softly, the sound mixing with gentle music that seemed to come from the garden itself. How did you find this place? Zara breathed, turning in a slow circle to take it all in.
Ali.
The building owner is a client. He created this for his wife before she passed away. Now he opens it sometimes for people who need somewhere beautiful to think. Victor guided her to a secluded corner where comfortable cushions surrounded a low table. I thought you might appreciate the design. They settled onto the soft cushions, close enough that their knees touched. Someone had left a bottle of wine, and to glasses, as if Victor had planned this, though Zara suspected he was full of beautiful surprises. This is incredible, she said, accepting a glass of wine that tasted like it cost more than her monthly rent. But you still haven't told me what you really want, Victor Novak. In the soft light, his features were even more striking, all sharp angles and intensity. I want to wake up in the morning and be excited about my day. I want to build something that matters, not just something that makes money. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. I want to know what it feels like to be with someone who sees me, really sees me. Zara's heart pounded so hard she was sure he could hear it. I see you. Do you? Instead of answering with words, Zara set down her wine glass and moved closer, until she was close enough to count his eyelashes. I see someone brilliant who's been told his whole life what he should want instead of being asked what he dreams about. I see someone kind enough to spend an evening with a stressed-out designer instead of taking his private jet to his important meeting. I see someone who finds hidden gardens and shares them with virtual strangers because he understands that everyone needs beauty in their life. Victor's hand cupped her face, his thumb brushing across her cheekbone. Zara, ... I see someone I could fall in love with if I'm not careful. The words hung between them in the warm air, honest and vulnerable and terrifying. Victor's eyes darkened, and for a moment, Zara thought she'd said too much, been too forward, scared him away with her intensity. Then he kissed her. It was soft. At first, questioning, giving her the chance to pull away. When she didn't, when she instead moved closer and buried her fingers in his dark hair. The kiss deepened into something that felt like coming home and going on an adventure at the same time. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Victor rested his forehead against hers. I haven't been careful about anything since the moment I saw you in that terminal. Good, Zara? Whispered. Careful is overrated. They stayed on the rooftop until dawn began to paint the sky in soft pastels, talking about everything and nothing, sharing stories and dreams and kisses that tasted like wine and possibility. Victor told her about his childhood, the pressure of inheriting the family business, his secret passion for photography. Zara shared her struggles as a designer, her fears about the investor meeting, her dreams of creating clothes that made women feel powerful and beautiful. As the sun rose over the city, they lay curled together on the soft cushions, Zara's head on Victor's chest, listening to his heartbeat steady and strong beneath her ear. We should probably head back, Victor said, softly, his fingers trailing through her hair. Probably. Neither of them moved. Dawn revelations the elevator ride down felt different in the growing daylight. Reality was creeping back in with every floor they descended. Zara could feel the magical bubble of their night together beginning to thin. In the car, Victor was quieter, his hands gripping the steering wheel with unnecessary tension. "Your meeting," Zara said finally, as they pulled back into the airport parking garage. "You'll miss it, I know." Victor turned off the engine, but didn't move to get out. "My assistant has probably called 50 times. Board members are likely having collective heart attacks. This is my fault. I distracted you from something important." Victor turned to face her, his expression intense. "Zara, look at me. Meeting was about signing my life away to someone else's plan. What happened tonight? That was the first real thing I've experienced in years. But your company, ... double quotes, will survive one delayed merger." Victor reached for her hand. "The question is, what happens now? You have your investor meeting. I have a board full of angry executives waiting for explanations. And we live on opposite sides of the country." The practical part of Zara's brain, the part that had kept her focused through years of struggle and disappointment, told her to be realistic. This was a beautiful night with a beautiful man, but that's all it could be. She had a life to build, dreams to chase, and he had responsibilities that came with more zeros than she could imagine. The other part of her, the part that had designed her most beautiful pieces in moments of pure inspiration, whispered that some things were worth taking risks for. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I've never done anything like this before. Neither have I." Brought her hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to her palm. "But I know I don't want this to end here." Before Zara could respond, Victor's phone rang. He glanced at the screen inside. "It's my assistant. I should ... take it." Victor answered on the fourth ring. "Marcus, I know. I'm sorry. ... No, I'm fine. The flight was delayed. Yes, I understand they're upset." His voice took on the tone of a CEO accustomed to managing. "Crises. Reschedule everything for this afternoon. I'll be there." When he hung up, Zara was already reaching for the door handle. "You need to go." "Wait." Victor caught her arm gently. "Have dinner with me tonight in New York, Victor. ... I'll send a car for you after your meeting. We can talk about this properly, figure out how to make it work." Zara stared at him, this billionaire who was asking her out like a nervous teenager. "You really want to try? I want to try everything with you." It's a simple honesty in his voice. Nearly undid her. "Say yes." "Yes." Victor's smile was radiant. "Good, perfect. I ... He seemed to struggle with what to say next, then leaned over and kissed her softly. "Good luck with your meeting, though something tells me you won't need it." Zara floated through the next few hours on a cloud of exhaustion and exhilaration. Her flight to New York was delayed again, but she barely noticed. Instead, she spent the time touching up her presentation, texting her best friend cryptic messages about meeting someone special, and replaying every moment of the night before. The investor meeting went better than she had dared to hope. 3 venture capitalists loved her designs, understood her vision, and by the end of the 2-hour presentation, they were talking about funding amounts that made her dizzy. "We'll have contracts ready by the end of the week," the lead investor said as they shook hands. "Welcome to the big leagues, Ms. Chen." Zara was still processing the reality of her success when she found Victor waiting for her in the lobby of the investment firm's building. He was leaning against a black sedan, wearing a different expensive suit and looking like he belonged on the cover of a business magazine. When he saw her, his face lit up with a smile that was purely personal. Nothing professional about it. "How did it go?" he asked, pushing off from the car. They said yes. The words felt surreal coming out of her mouth. They actually said yes. Victor whooped and picked her up, spinning her around right there on the busy New York sidewalk. "Told you they'd be fools not to back you." When he set her down, they were both laughing and breathless. "Victor, people are staring. Let them stare. I'm celebrating with the most talented woman in New York." His hand settled on her waist. "I'm so proud of you." The words hit her like a physical force. In all her years of struggling and dreaming, and working herself to exhaustion, no one had ever said they were proud of her. Her parents had been supportive but worried, her friends encouraging but sometimes skeptical. Victor, who had known her for less than 24 hours, said it like he meant it completely. "Thank you," she whispered. "Now," Victor said, opening the car door for her, "let me take you somewhere special to celebrate properly." The new beginning, 6 months later, Zara stood in the window of her new boutique in Soho, watching Victor across the street at a coffee cart, charming the vendor while he waited for their usual morning order. Even from a distance, she could see him laughing at something the man said, probably practicing the terrible dad jokes he'd been inflicting on her lately. The boutique had exceeded every expectation. Her designs were featured in 3 major fashion magazines. Celebrities were requesting custom pieces, and she had a waiting list of clients that stretched into next year. More importantly, she loved every challenging, exhausting, exhilarating minute of it. The bell above the door chimed as Victor entered, carrying 2 coffee cups and wearing the soft smile he reserved just for her. Cappuccino, extra foam, touch of cinnamon for the most beautiful boutique owner in New York. "Flattery will get you everywhere," Zara said, accepting her coffee and the kiss that came with it. "I'm counting on it." Victor set his coffee aside and pulled her closer. "How's the day looking? Busy? 3 fittings this morning, a consultation with a new client at lunch, and that interview with Vogue this afternoon?" Zara still couldn't quite believe her life sometimes. "What about you? Still revolutionizing the tech world, one algorithm at a time?" Victor had restructured his company after their first night together, focusing on projects he was passionate about rather than just profitable ones. The board had initially been resistant, but the innovative direction had actually increased their value significantly. "But first I have something for you." Victor produced a small velvet box from his jacket pocket, and Zara's heart stopped. "Completely, Victor. ... Before you panic, it's not what you think." "Well, it's not what you think yet." Victor was babbling slightly, which he only did when he was nervous. "Open it." Inside the box was a delicate gold key on a matching chain. Zara looked up at him in confusion. "It's the key to my apartment," Victor explained. "Move in with me." Victor ... "I know we said we'd take things slow, but Zara, I'm in love with you. Completely, hopelessly, ridiculously in love with you." Victor's hands cupped her face gently. "I wake up thinking about you. I fall asleep thinking about you. And every moment in between is better when you're part of it." Tears pricked at Zara's eyes. "I love you too. So move in with me. Let's stop pretending that spending nights apart makes any sense when we both know we want to build a life together." Zara looked around her beautiful boutique, at the life she'd built from nothing but determination and dreams. Then she looked at Victor, this unexpected man who had become her partner in everything, who supported her ambitions and challenged her to dream even bigger. "Okay," she said. "Okay, yes, you wonderful, impossible man. Yes, I'll move in with you." Victor's kiss tasted like coffee and laughter, and the promise of everything good that was still to come. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "I have a confession," he said. "What?" "I never actually had a meeting that night at the airport. I was just ... running away from my life. If you hadn't sat down next to me, I probably would have gotten on the first flight to anywhere and disappeared for a while." Zara stared at him. "You lied to me? Thought it sounded better than I'm having a quarter-life crisis and hiding in an airport." "Victor Novak, you're the most ridiculous man I've ever met. But you love me anyway. I love you anyway." Zara confirmed. "Though next time you have an existential crisis, maybe just tell me instead of making up fake business meetings." "Deal. As long as you promise to keep designing clothes that make me forget how to think properly. I think I can manage that." As they stood together in the morning light streaming through the boutique windows, surrounded by the beautiful things Zara had created and the love they'd built together, Victor pulled out his phone. "What are you doing?" "Canceling my afternoon meetings. We're celebrating properly this time." "Victor, you can't just cancel meetings because you feel like it." "Watch me," Victor said, hitting delete on his calendar. "I'm the CEO. I can do whatever I want." "That's a terrible abuse of power. The best kind." Victor pocketed his phone and swept Zara into his arms. "Besides, I have something much more important to do today." "Which is?" Victor's smile was pure mischief and promise. "Convincing the woman I love that forever isn't nearly long enough." Outside, New York bustled on, full of people rushing to meetings and chasing dreams and living their carefully planned lives. Inside the little boutique, Zara and Victor held each other close and marveled at how sometimes the most beautiful things in life happened. When you threw the plan away and followed your heart instead, the wrong terminal had led them to exactly the right place.